So I guess in all fairness, in the interest of transparency, you are the wife. Let me see if I can get this right. You're the wife of my daughter-in-law's brother. Is that right? Did I say that right?
Yes. I can think about it. Yeah.
So I'm talking with Kayla McDermitt today. And again, yeah, she is, I guess, somehow there's some sort of in-law-ish thing going on here. It's all, yeah.
Yeah, whatever I am.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I do appreciate you joining me today, Kayla. So we'll just talk a little bit about you and get to know you just a little bit, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So where are you from originally?
I was born in Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, okay.
And then I don't know if you can count it. We moved down here when I was probably like 1 or 2 to start a church. Oh. And it was in Boise, like the heart of Boise, downtown Boise.
Okay.
And then I've been here ever since.
So does that mean you're a preacher's kid?
Yeah.
Well, now there's some juicy details that might come out of this one.
Ask away.
Okay. So your parents moved down to Boise. What kind of church did they start?
A Nazarene.
A Nazarene church?
Yeah.
All righty. I went to Northwest Nazarene College way back in the day. Yeah, long time ago. In fact, the dorm room that I stayed in is no longer in existence. They tore it down because it should be torn down. It was
awful.
Oh, it was terrible. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was, yeah, well, we lived in the basement, and they actually called them Dungeon North and Dungeon South. I mean, that's how bad it was. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So Nazarene Church in the middle of downtown Boise, Idaho. So you grew up, did you have any siblings or what?
I do. I have one sister, and that's
One
it.
sister.
Just me and her.
That's it. Okay. Are you the oldest?
Yes.
Huh. Is that good or bad? Do you like being the oldest?
It comes with its challenges, but for the most part, yeah.
Like what? What kind of challenges does it come with?
Oh my gosh. You're the example setter. That's a big role.
Oh, okay, especially if you're a pastor's kid, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, did you pick on her?
If you ask her, she would say yes. But if you ask me, I would say it's pretty neutral.
Oh, okay. So how close were you guys together?
2 years. So
okay.
She's 2 years younger than me. Yeah.
Gotcha. So not too bad, but old enough where you could be like, I know better than you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. So how was your family life growing up? Was it, were your parents awesome, fantastic? Was there, what was it like?
I think we were pretty normal.
As normal as a pastor's family could be, I guess. Which does it comes with its challenges for sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I don't know what I was going to say, so go for it.
Okay. Did you go to public school? Were you homeschooled or?
I went to, I don't know if you've heard of it, Coal Valley.
Coal Valley.
It's like yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I went, my mom was a special ed teacher at the high school. Oh. So we went there for the elementary school, probably till I was like 2.
Okay.
Not 2, sorry. 2nd grade.
Okay. Wow.
Pregnancy brain.
School younger. You're one of those smart people. Yeah. I can see. Okay. Wow. Okay. So you went to school there until 2nd grade, you said?
Yeah. And then after that, we went to public. And then stayed public from there on out.
Oh, gotcha. Did you like going to public school?
I actually think it was a lot better than private school.
Okay. Why's that?
Private schools. Kids are mean at private school. Let me tell you.
Aren't they mean everywhere?
You think it'd be better. Oh, you think it'd be better, but it was not. It was so bad.
In what ways?
I was the kid, my best friend. He was autistic, had a few other things. Mm-hmm. And so we were the type that would play like, what was our favorite game? Like rocket ship on the playground or something. Oh, okay. Or I was the girl that brought my Barbie and we'd play on the playground.
Yeah.
And kids are mean about that. Like if you don't fit like the normal Foursquare and basketball type thing, they will totally pick on you. And it was awful. But no, I mean, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. Did you have as many issues like that once you went to public school, or did kids seem nicer or what?
I think in public school we're all just trying to blend in. So I don't feel like it was as, I don't know. I feel like it's easier to form cliques in a private school than it is a public school.
Okay. Did you like going to school then? Was school fun for you or not?
Yeah, I would say so. I liked it.
Get good grades?
I want to say yes.
You want to say
like
yes?
I act like it was decades ago, but I'm only 23, so it wasn't forever ago.
I wish I was 22. But... All right. So, okay, so you got good grades, you think. You want to say you did, so that's good. Did you participate in sports or any extracurricular activities or what?
I did. My dad had no boys, so his only outlet for sports was us. Okay. So we played basketball, we did taekwondo, soccer for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Kind of tried everything out. But the main one that stuck was basketball.
Okay, so we played that. Basketball.
Yeah, we played that till my sister and I both did, probably till our sophomore year in high school. Mm-hmm. And then we both just stopped.
Oh, why?
It's really hard to have like a part-time job and do sports and do school.
Sure.
So we were kind of like,
Yeah.
But
so when your family moved down and started this, they started a Nazarene church, or did they take over a Nazarene church? Was it a church plant?
I don't know. I want to say they took it. I mean, they're probably going to listen to this and be like, "You were so wrong, Kayla." But I want to say they took it.
It's your over. Story, okay?
Yeah. I want to say they took it over because it was a church that was already built across from BSU.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the house was on the same property as the church.
Oh.
I mean, my memory also really sucks.
So like the church had like I guess they call it a parsonage or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And so how long did he pastor there? Is he still pastoring there? Or?
No, he stopped being a pastor probably when I was, I want to say second grade, around then.
Oh, okay.
But we moved on from that church, and he started his own from like the ground up. And we didn't have a building. We met in like hotels. Oh,
okay.
I don't know, conference spaces.
Yeah. I went to a few of those myself.
Yeah.
They kind of suck. You have to put up the chairs and take down the chairs and pick up the sound equipment and turn down the sound equipment and all that stuff. Oh, yeah, it's fun.
Exactly. Yeah. It's quite the experience every Sunday.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we did that for a little while, and then...
So that was not Nazarene, though, at that point?
That one was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was always a Nazarene.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, so we did that, and then those churches are hard because it's... or being a pastor is hard in general. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. We couldn't, how do you say this? My mom at that point was I think she was still a special needs director for Coal Valley. And my dad was a pastor, and then he also was a construction worker. And between it all, money was so tight to the point where we were having like our church buy us groceries and
really?
Yeah, all these things. And then my dad ended up being let go from his job. And it just got to a point where my dad's like, we need to step down and figure ourselves out.
Okay.
And so that's what we did.
Okay.
And yeah.
And so how did that go? I mean, what did that entail, figuring yourselves out? I mean, I'm assuming this means your whole family, right? I mean, what did you guys figure out during that process?
Well, I can't remember. My dad wanted to get more on his feet, I'm assuming. I mean, I was young at this point, so
yeah.
Through my eyes, it was more I want to get more on my feet, and he wanted to be able to provide, as any man would.
Right.
And so he created his own construction company, and that he ended up selling it to his brother. Him and his brother started it. He sold it to his brother. And he became a realtor and got his real estate license. My mom went back to school and got a higher degree in whatever. It sounds so bad. In whatever degree she needed.
Yeah, sure.
And they both just built up their career from there. And yeah.
So he never went back into what would you call it? The pastorship? I don't know if that's a word or not.
Yeah, they go to the Journey right now. Okay. I don't know if you, Mike Boswell, the pastor.
Yeah, sure.
And he helps out a lot there, but I wouldn't say he's like a pastor for the church by any means.
Gotcha.
So he still has his foot in the door, but he's not fully in.
Okay. So what high school, this is going to be like a little inside baseball since I know enough about the Boise area. I know what high school, you know. So what high school did you go to while you were over there?
Meridian.
Meridian. Okay. So you're a Meridian Knight. So did you always live in Meridian or did you live in Boise?
For the most part, I want to say we were in Meridian.
Okay. You like it there?
I don't like Meridian at all.
Why?
To me, it just feels like this big fat neighborhood, and I don't like that.
Big fat neighborhood. So I don't understand what that means. Tell me a little bit about what that means. So like everybody's in everybody's business, or what? What do you mean?
No. I don't know how to explain. Like, there's no, even though we have like, there's no separation of city and neighborhood. It's just neighborhood.
I see. Yeah.
And there's so many people.
Yeah. Well, that whole place has just went crazy. Like when I went to school there in Northwest Nazarene College, way back in 1992, it was a long time ago. I remember driving down Fairview Avenue, and Eagle and Fairview was a 4-way stop. There was nothing there. It was still country road. It's just went nuts since then. I mean, then we lived there in the early 2000s, and it had grown so much then, and now it's even worse than it was when we moved away, which was, I guess it's been about 12 years now. But I mean, that place has just went crazy nuts. We lived in a little town called Middleton, and when we moved to Middleton, it was 2,000 people. I mean, you still had, I would wake up in the mornings, and sometimes there would be a stupid rooster walking through my backyard. I doubt that's the case anymore in Middleton. I've heard it's about 5,000 or 6,000 people now. It's just crazy how much that whole area has grown. There is no separation between Boise and Caldwell. It's just all one big city these days. That's crazy nuts. I'm glad I live over on this side of the state where the pace of life is just a little lower. That's right. That's right. So did you like going to Meridian High School, though? You went to Meridian High School.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, for the most part, I liked it. I mean, I met my husband there, so I kind of have to like it.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's get into that a little bit. How'd you meet this guy? So you guys are high school sweethearts who got married. So tell me a little bit, how'd you meet this guy?
Well, I'm just going to paint myself in a bad light for a second. I actually managed to date all of Daniel's friends before I actually met Daniel. So I didn't end up meeting him till probably my junior year. And I always tease him because he was the guy that we'd show up to school at the same time in our cars, and he would just stare at me from his car.
Really?
And we never talked or anything, but at that point in time I did photography, and so I was offering senior pictures, and my sister was happening to date his best friend at the time.
Okay.
And I was scheduled to take his pictures, or my sister's boyfriend's pictures. And I told him, like, I'll do it for free. Don't worry about it. It's on me. And he ended up showing to my house with Daniel.
Okay.
And I walk into our house, and I'm freaking out because all I know is this guy that has watched me, leave the school and get in my car every day, standing in my house. I thought he was more of like a stalker type.
Okay.
But it turns out Alex her boyfriend was playing basketball and was like, "Hey, I'm getting pictures taken. Anybody want theirs done for free?" And Daniel was like, "Oh, yes, I do." But I mean, it worked out. I met Daniel, and it was great.
Okay, so but he knew of you before this moment you're describing right now.
Yeah.
So did he really want his pictures taken because he thought that was awesome, or he wanted his pictures taken because he knew who would be taking the pictures?
I don't think he knew that I was my sister's sister, but when he saw me, I'm pretty sure he knew, like, that's the girl
that I stare at all the time.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. So did he ask you out then?
Yes, we talked for about 2 weeks after I took his pictures, and he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know you. So I said no, which crushed his heart, but I was like, let's be friends and we'll see where it goes.
Right.
And about a month later, didn't take long, I eventually became his girlfriend.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'll tell you what, at that moment, you know, when you say, let's just be friends, that's every guy's worst nightmare.
Yep.
Back in the day, I used to call it page 47 of the Girl's Handbook for Survival. It's the I like you. Well, and I know you didn't give him this exact speech, but it's the I like you, but I wouldn't want to date you speech, or any variation thereof. Now, I know, again, that's not what you said to him, but, you know, that let's just be friends kind of a thing is still crushing in its own way. But like you said, it was only a month or so, and you're like, yeah, I like this guy. And so you decided to go ahead and try it out. And so that was your junior year of high school?
Yes.
Okay.
I was 16,
okay.
I think.
And you managed to make it work throughout all of high school, which is pretty impressive. I mean, it really is. How many high school relationships make it? I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have any hard times, or like, man, oh, maybe this isn't going to work out?
Daniel and I, we're an interesting couple. We are complete opposite people.
Okay.
He's more introverted. I'm more extroverted. He has a really weird sense of humor that makes no sense to me. I don't know. We're just two different people. So we tend to clash heads a lot, but at the same time, there's something fun about being completely different.
Okay.
And more exciting about being completely different.
Sure.
But so, yeah, we definitely had our fair share of arguments, but at the end of the day, I mean, we made it.
Yeah. So, did you know he was a church going person at that point in time, or was that one of the things that helped make you click, or was he, or what?
Yeah, I knew. I think the first time I actually hung out with him was at a play they were doing, because we met around like Thanksgiving, Christmas time, and they were doing the Grinch Stole Christmas play.
Oh, okay.
And so I knew he went to church and he was actively involved in a church. So
okay, but
that helped.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, when you find those kind of things in common, it always helps to
exactly
make the relationship a little bit better. So, did you guys, once you guys started dating, did you guys decide, okay, well, let's go to the same church, or did you guys just continue to go to your separate churches, or what?
At this point, I was at the Journey, and I was a worship leader for the youth group. So I was heavily involved in that church, and he went to Treasure Valley Worship Center. But after attending his services a few times, every now and then, I ended up switching and becoming the worship leader at the youth group for TVWC.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this quick question, backtracking just a little bit. What makes it so, this is probably, I don't know, some people might not find this interesting, but I do. What makes your dad, I guess, let's go with there, decide to go from being a Nazarene church pastor to being a part of the Foursquare Church? I mean, in a sense, they have their own the same kind of background. They are both kind of charismatic churches, but what was the deal? Why did your dad decide, hey, this is where I want to be? And you obviously followed.
Yeah. I think he really fell in love with just how the Journey's viewpoints and how they speak, and he really likes Mike and how Mike speaks.
Okay, so
I don't know, I think it's just
service type atmosphere that really helped him decide to go there. Okay. Okay, and so you liked it there as well. They had a pretty happening youth group, at least back then, I would think, didn't they? When you started going?
I was there when they first formed.
When they first started, okay.
Yeah. All right. So it was probably 10 of us, maybe.
Oh.
We were small.
Yeah.
But they've definitely gotten a lot bigger, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then you said, so you decided to start going to Daniel's church. And you became the worship leader over there for the youth group, you said. Was that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Was Galen the leader at that point in time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. All of this inside baseball, you're like, who's this guy? What are we talking about? I apologize. This is the way it is. But, hey, you're finding out about Kayla, and that's what matters. So what made you you liked it because of Daniel, this church, or did you like it because you liked the church and maybe Galen because he's a little weird?
He is weird, but
I love him. He's a great guy.
But we won't talk about that.
Fair enough.
He, I think what drew me more to it was the atmosphere from the journey was completely different. Meaning you could walk through those doors at this point in time and you could just feel the presence of God in it. And I think that's what drew me towards it. And the youth group also, you could tell everybody was on fire for God. And I guess I just, at that point in time in my life, craved that and wanted that. So that's where I went.
Fair enough. Okay, so you got through high school with your dating relationship intact. What happened after you graduated?
I was the person who, well, my senior year of high school, I worked, I guess if you want to count being a worship leader at the church, I worked equivalent of 3 jobs. I
it's a job. I count that for sure.
Well, I worked at Del Taco with Daniel for like a year, and then I worked at a nursing home as a secretary on the weekends, and then I had the church job. So at the time when I graduated, I had enough money saved up to basically pack my bags, say goodbye to my mom and dad, and move out. So I did. And at that point in time, Daniel and I had the whole discussion of, well, we know we're going to be married. Do we just move in with each other? And I think we had planned for a while that we were just going to stay dating and move in with each other. And we mentioned it to my parents and Laura and Charles, his parents, and knowing both of their backgrounds, they were kind of like, we don't agree with it. So we ended up getting married. So we got an apartment. I moved out right after the day that I walked, I moved out. And I stayed in the apartment by myself for, I think, the 3 months that we were engaged. And then he moved in, and we just kind of did our own thing for a little bit. I went to hair school and became a cosmetologist, got pregnant. I'm giving you the speed run, I guess.
That's good. I mean, it's so tell me, so you graduated, and how many months was it until you got married?
3. It was basically a summer.
3 months. Wow. I mean, you guys have been dating for like a year and a half, so it wasn't like it was a new thing, but wow, that's a quick way to start life right there. Yeah.
I remember the conversation with my mom. She was like, well, why don't you just marry Daniel? And I was like, because I'm only 18. And she was like, well, think about it. And my history with boys in the past was really bad, and just thinking about it and internalizing it, I was like, why would I not want to marry Daniel? He treats me the way I deserve to be treated. And he's everything I could ask for. So then I called him, and I was crying, and I was like, we just get married. And he was like, really? And he goes, yep. And I just said, yeah. And so probably like a few weeks later, he asked me at church to marry him in front of everybody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we made it fast.
Well, that's all right.
I'm also not big on the whole, like, let's be engaged for 2 years and then let's get married.
Yeah. Well, Lemuel and Ashley were pretty quick too. I mean, as far as their engagement was concerned, it wasn't incredibly long. So that's okay. Yeah. That's fine. Ours wasn't incredibly long either, my wife and I. So that's not a big deal. But so then after you got married, you went to cosmetology school, you said. And so, so you're a hairdresser, or what did you get from that?
I was for a little bit. I was a hairdresser for probably about 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Well, cosmetology school is only supposed to take like 9 months to a year.
Sure.
But 2 months in, I got pregnant, and so my time there almost turned into like a year to 2 years.
Oh wow.
But I graduated, and then I worked in a few salons in downtown Boise. And then as of the beginning of this year, I guess kind of in the works last year, I felt really called to just step outside of hair and focus on other things. So that's what I did.
Okay.
Which is weird, but.
And what are those things you're focusing on?
Well, throughout this whole time, I've been really active in whatever church we've been at. And I was like the worship leader for TVWC's youth group till the beginning of this year. when I stepped down. So I was there on that side. I was helping out with their worship team, doing hair, being a mom.
Yeah.
And I was going through this phase last year was probably the hardest year anyone I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And just had this moment of God's like, I know you thought you'd be doing worship and hair your whole life, but I want you to step down from that. And I had this whole thing of like, but I don't know. Like, I've always wanted to do this. It's what I always thought I would be doing.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a hairstylist. And so I kind of wrestled with it the whole year. And eventually I was like, you got to obey. And we did.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Good.
And things have been good.
Okay. All right.
At that point in time, I thought he wanted me to step down and focus more, because we left TVWC. I don't know if Ashley and Limp told you.
No.
But we're going to a downtown church called the North End Collective.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably were there all of last year. And I thought God wanted me to really focus in and hone in on the youth group there. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to think that's not it.
Oh, okay. Why's that?
Yeah. I mean, there's many times where you think God opens a door for you, and it's one of those situations where I feel like I'm trying to pry open the door instead of it just being open.
Right.
And I mean, a lot of it, I guess, could just be because of this Corona.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was more of like God wanted me to step down and kind of clear my plate a little bit.
Yeah.
But also take this time to, especially after last year, to recover and kind of rebuild our roots and focus more on God and learn more about God. And basically saying, like, there's still more you need to know. I need you to come and find me to know it first. Right. So.
Well, with a name like North End Collective, what does that, is it just kind of a normal church that has a church building, or do you guys meet in a house, or what kind of a style of church is this? It's a little hippie to me. It's fine. It is. Well, that's awesome, and I'm totally cool with that. It just it doesn't sound like your typical nice little church. So tell me about it.
This probably give you an idea. We went there for New Year's Eve service, and we took my mom and my dad and my grandpa. The first thing they said as soon as we left was, "I've never been to a church that everybody's wearing skinny jeans." There's a lot of tight pants up there.
Who said that?
My parents and my grandpa. But
that sounds like every meme I've seen in the past 2 years. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Worship leader meme, at least.
Yeah. Well, they we don't really have a building right now. We are renting a space in downtown, the North End, obviously. And the building sold. Okay. So we are in the process of relocating right now. We are renting Hill City Church on Sundays, which I mean isn't permanent. We're just trying to find because they want to stay in a 5-mile radius of where we were.
Sure.
So they're trying to find the perfect spot. But I mean, the North End's already so established. It's so hard to find a building. Yeah,
and expensive. Very expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, it sounds like a great church. I'm glad that you guys are plugging in and finding a home down there.
Yeah. Oh, we like it a lot.
That's good.
We like it a lot.
Good. Well, we were actually going to do this months and months ago, actually.
Probably a year ago.
Yeah. But then something happened to your husband right about the time we were going to do this. You want to talk about that a little bit and tell me what was going through your mind when it happened? I've heard how your husband has handled it. And of course, it sounds like he handles it with a very big sense of humor. But I want to know how you handled the whole thing. And we're talking about his, of course.
Yeah. Oh, well, I have to give you a backstory of my time frame so you understand where I'm coming from. Yeah. Daniel and I, at this point in our marriage, are probably in a little bit more rockier side of things.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of it is just because we're so different. And the reality is that when you get married at 18, the person you're going to be in 5 years, 10 years is going to be entirely different than you were at 18 because of maturing and, all that stuff.
Right.
So we were still trying to figure out the kinks, I guess. And so I was at this point, I don't know how to say this without something weird.
Well, just say it.
I don't know how to. At this point, we had stuff going on in our house.
Okay.
Like spiritual warfare.
Okay.
And I feel so weird when I say I have the gift of discernment, and I've always been able to see things, as you want to say it. Mm-hmm. And at this point in our life, it was we were just being really heavily attacked.
Okay.
We're talking like my daughter would get super sick out of nowhere, and she would have like 104-degree fevers for 3 days straight, and then would be completely fine.
Oh, wow.
She was having terrible night terrors at night. We would catch like things happening, like during one of her sick episodes. I was recording a video of her because she was on the last day of having her fever, and she was dancing, a little more happy. So I was taking a video of her, and you hear this like really demonic voice scream at me to move, wow. Leave her alone. And there were just so many things happening in our house, and I was freaking out because I could see them.
Right.
It was totally weird, but it's something I've just been able to do most of my life. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening. And I think it freaked Daniel out because he felt like he couldn't protect us in a way. It was out of his control, and he didn't know what was going on. And he was getting more and more into a depressed state, and I was. And so we were kind of at this point where we were at our lowest of lows, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And it was the point where I ended up going to counseling about it, learned more about what was going on, and really focused on myself and healing about that. Mm-hmm. And we were, at this point in time, it was kind of like I felt God was saying, I want you to leave your job, leave the church, and leave your husband. And I couldn't do that. I mean, in reality, at this point in our marriage, we were probably the most toxic we've ever been for each other, just because of everything going on and everything we were battling and fighting. And we both were just so tired. And I was like, I can't, God doesn't tell you to divorce,
Yeah.
And so it was this huge warfare, I guess, and with myself and internally battling that. And it was the point where I would literally go to church every Sunday, and something in our sermon we mentioned about divorce and love through divorce, and like almost as if everybody had it plastered on their foreheads. That's what I was supposed to do, but I still couldn't do it. And so I decided that I wanted to get Daniel and I to counseling and really talk about that and figure that out, and try those approaches first. And we tried. It didn't go super great. And then Daniel had his accident at work, and what had happened, I don't know if you know exactly what happened, but he was driving a forklift, and he was going from one section to another, and his tire caught on some ice, and it caused his whole forklift to spin and collide with a rack. And the way that the forklifts are built is you have the forklift, and then like on your right-hand side, you have the prong things. I don't know what you call them.
Right.
And then you just have nothing on your complete left side. Like it's just the seat and then the drop off. And then you have a cage, and it's completely open on your left side. So Daniel, being left-handed, he looked over and saw he was coming basically head-to-head with the rack, and put his hand out, which you're not supposed to, but put his hand out in self-defense to think, he's going to stop himself.
Right.
But you're, fighting with a 10-pound machine. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, so he ended up smashing his hand against the forklift, and it basically scraped his hand all the way along the rack.
Ow.
Yeah, so he called me, and I'm at home with the girls, and it's probably like 6 at night, and he goes, hey, so I'm going to the hospital. And I was like, okay, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I just cut my finger. And I was like, okay, well, do you need there? And he was like, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. I said, okay, let me know if anything changes. So I'm thinking he has like, this minor cut on his finger.
Yeah.
And I text him, and he was like, so they're thinking about cutting my finger off. And I was like, hold on. What?
It's just like, a little cut. Why do they want to cut your finger off?
Yeah. I was like, what do you mean they want to cut off? He goes, well, they're talking to the hand surgeon to see if they should just cut it off. And I'm like, what? Okay, I'm coming down there. So at this point, I call Laura and Charles. I'm like, we need to head down to the hospital. They're cutting Daniel's finger off, I guess. And I find a babysitter, and we head down there. And I walk into that room, and he has his hand wrapped in this towel, right? And there's just blood everywhere. Yeah. And so I don't know what to be expecting. I was like, it was so hard walking into that moment. It was a very vulnerable moment because here he is sitting on the bed, and he has his whole thumb or his whole ring finger wrapped up, and he's just crying because of how. I was like, does it hurt? Are you okay? And he goes, no, I'm so disappointed in myself. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, I did the one thing they told us not to do and stuck my hand out. And I was like, there's literally nothing protecting you on that side. What are you going to do? And I was like, just let me see it. And he goes, okay. And so he unwraps it and shows it to me. And this, I don't know if you can see, like from here up, just dangling off.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, Daniel, that is so bad. And he was like, I know. And he's just crying and crying. He's like, I'm so stupid. I'm like, no, just stop. Like, this is bad. And I was like, literally, he's the type of person that kind of stuff interests him.
Right.
So every time the nurses would come in to like pour water on it or look at it and examine it, he would just stare at it. They're like, you gotta stop. You're gonna pass out, man. And he goes, no, I'm good. But so we ended up being rushed to a different hospital that night. And the doctor, the hand specialist of Idaho or whatever, the top one in the state, was like, I could save this finger. I could try to save this finger, but you're not going to have use of it. It's going to be really painful. And more than likely, we're going to have to remove it anyway in a few years. Because there's a good chance because he severed a lot of arteries in his finger.
Oh, wow.
The tendons. So there was a chance even like the finger itself would just die.
Oh, geez.
After reconstructing it all. So he goes, we'll go in there, I'll look at it, see if I can fix it, and if not, I'm just going to cut it off. And we were like, okay. So at this point, it's Galen showed up. It was his parents and me. And so he goes into surgery, first surgery he's ever had, and he comes out and his finger was cut off. And it was just this moment where even though it's just a finger, it's still... I think traumatizing for a person.
Sure.
And he didn't know. On top of that, the way that he hit his hand, the reality is he should have lost his whole left hand.
Oh, wow.
And so it's crazy in itself that it was just a finger. But it was kind of in this moment, like, forget what I feel like I need to do. Like, I need to stay here and make sure he's okay. Make sure he can get through this traumatizing moment. And I think... at this point in time, I needed him more than he needed me. Like he adapted awesome. Like I wouldn't say he was ever depressed. If anybody asked him about it, he wouldn't be super self-conscious about it. Like he loves telling the story about how he lost his finger.
Yeah.
And our kids love the fact that he's missing a finger odd enough. They think it's a cool feature.
My daddy's different than yours.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a weird moment of, okay, this is where we're at. How do we recover from this? How can I help you? How can you help me type thing?
Right.
And, yeah. And then everything else just kept going wrong after that. Like when crap hit the fan, it hit the fan. Let me tell you.
Oh, okay.
Well, shortly after that, he went back to work. I think he was only out for a month. Which is crazy for somebody who loses a finger because his work involves a lot of gripping. And so they didn't expect him to be back in a month. But he was back in a month, and he was driving home. He drove a Saturn L200 2002. It was a car I had in high school, so it was an older car. And we had one of our friends replace our brakes for us. And he was, I don't know if you know the intersection, but the one where you get right off of the, to go to the mall in Boise.
Oh, okay.
Well, he had just gotten off the freeway, and he had told me his car was sounding weird, but we thought it was like, transmission issues.
Sure.
But he got off the freeway, and he came to the stoplight, and thank God he did, and it was green, and he turned, and as soon as he turned, his whole left tire flung off, and the car just crashed to the ground and totaled the car. And it was like, what? And I started crying. So, I mean, he was fine. Him and his brother were completely fine, but I was like, we're having to recover financially from you being out of work, from your finger, and now we have to find a new car. Like, what are we gonna do? And so I was.
And this is all last year in 2019. Oh wow.
Yeah, it was all in a span of 6 months.
Oh geez.
Because we spent the first 6 months with some weird demonic stuff going on in our house. Don't know why, but it was there. And then the next half, we just got so attacked. Because it's like we hit this point in this middle where I was like, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I feel called to do. And I don't want to do it, Daniel. Like, let's do something about this. Like, we're so broken, we need to regroup type thing. And so we tried harder to work past whatever we were going through. And it's like after we decided to do that, things just got so bad. But so then that happened. There were so many other things. And then at this point, I was working on at least obeying 2 of the things that I had to do, was quitting hair and stepping down from worship. And hair was a source of income for us. I was like, well, I need something to replace it. So I was focusing on like direct sales or something like that where I could still be home. And so I focused on that, and I was actively going live on Facebook and doing all these things. And not even to mention, the beginning of last year, we lived a good month thinking that I had cancer.
Oh, geez.
So we just had all these stuff go on, and so I was like, I'll just focus on direct sales, and it was something health related. So I was like, it's okay because it works out with what I have going on and all this stuff. And I remember I did this live. I used to do these things called Real Talk Tuesday.
Okay.
And it was something where I would like pray about, like, because the nice thing is the direct sales company I chose was very heavy with faith, religion, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And so I did these things called Real Talk Tuesday, where I would go on and I would talk about whatever I felt I needed to talk about, or whatever God was telling me to talk about. And it was, I was at this point where I went on, I was like, I think it was a Monday. I decided to do it on Monday, and I went live, and I said, I was talking about how, you think sometimes in life you are dealt like the worst cards ever, and you literally hit rock bottom, and I promise you it's not forever, it's temporary. That kind of talk, that kind of live. Sure. And I get off the live, and I finish making dinner. I look at my phone, and my mom sends me a text and says, Nana had a stroke. She's in the hospital. And I was like, wow. It's okay. She'll get through it. It'll be fine. And my sister, who's a CNA, called me, and she was crying. And she was like, I'm coming to get you. We need to go to the hospital now. And I was like, no. People bounce back from strokes. It's okay. Caitlin's like, Kayla, Nana's 75 with a heart condition. She's not bouncing back. Yeah. And so she picks me up, and we go to the hospital. We got there, and she was on blood thinners because of her heart issues, and it basically caused a hemorrhage in her brain. Oh, wow. So she would have had a stroke, but because she was on a certain kind of blood thinners, instead of the stroke happening, it was just a continuous brain bleed. Oh, gotcha. And they basically told us, like, we can stop it, but she's going to be gone. Like, she won't be, the person anymore. Sure. And that was hard for me because she was she was such a good lady.
Mm-hmm.
She was the type of role model who was very, very selfless, and she was your typical grandma that wanted to know every single detail about you and knew everything about you. So when she saw you, she wanted to know all your details and everything on every situation. And I don't know, she was just a very caring person. So at this point, they put her in a ventilator, and we decided to take her off. And it was we just got to wait till she passes and make sure she's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so we watched her struggling, basically suffocate until she died for 3 days. And so then we were going through that.
Yeah.
And then I think it was towards the very end of the year, we went through all the funeral and everything. And Daniel and I were like, well, we need a highlight of this year. Let's do something. And we got a puppy.
Oh.
And yeah. We got this puppy from the Idaho Humane Society, and it was something because we had just gotten rid of one of our dogs because he was a very self-destructive dog.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, we just got rid of a dog. What are people going to think if we bring in another dog? And we were sitting there, and I was just watching Rylan playing with this puppy, and everybody in the room's face just light up as we were watching this dog. And it was I heard clear as day God say, let this be your healing. Let this be the highlight. And so I was like, okay, I'm for it. Let's just get him. Who cares what everybody says? When we get him, 2 days later, he comes down with parvo.
Oh, no.
So then he survived it.
Oh,
good. It was good. But
seeing dogs suffer through parvo, that is not it's a terrible disease for a dog. It's awful.
Especially after you just watched your grandma.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Mm.
But
it did survive, but it cost you $5,000, you said.
Yeah.
Ay.
So it was kind of some sort of healing. Maybe we're a little happier, but we're even more broke. But we followed through. We continued working on ourselves and kind of just learning how to work with each other, and that got better. I quit my job and my hair stuff, and yeah, it's crazy the amount of stuff that has happened ever since we finally did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really scared because I was like, I didn't follow everything he asked me to do. In fact, I was very defiant and didn't want to.
Yeah.
And I was like, our pastor talks a lot about how you don't want to sleep on your callings because God will always give them to somebody else that can do it for you. And I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, I'm so scared that I missed the opportunity. What if it's not something I'm supposed to do anymore?
Yeah.
And she used this reference, and she goes, you know how when you make cookies and you don't follow the directions list to the T, and they still turn out good, they're good cookies. And she goes, but you know the times when you bake the cookies, you follow the directions to the key, there's some really good cookies.
Yeah. And
she goes, I say this because even though you didn't follow the directions properly, God still wants to make cookies with you.
Yeah.
And he's still going to use what you do, and it will be good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. And I was telling her, but I didn't leave my husband. And she was like, yeah, but you stuck to it. And you said, no, God, I really want to focus on this. I want to get stronger in you. And with Daniel, sorry, they just got home. But so we go into this next year, and COVID happened. So we're like, oh, great, this is going to be another crap year.
Yeah.
But no, it's been the exact opposite. Daniel and I were actually able to buy our first house.
Oh, great.
Which is something we didn't see us being ever able to do in 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. Sorry, my daughter's knocking on the door Mom.
We're almost done.
But we found out unexpectedly that I was pregnant with a boy. Mm-hmm. That we've been praying for a boy, and just for some reason keep getting girls. But so we have that. Last year, after having my second daughter, I had fatty liver disease, and they didn't know why I had it.
Yeah.
I figured all of that out, and I basically started this year with a clean bill of health. And
good.
I did nothing to get this clean bill of health. It literally just showed up at my door.
Oh, great.
We just been having all these little things happening that's, I don't know, it's weird.
That's good.
And ironic. But
well, I don't know if it's irony. I think it's blessing, don't you? Yeah. I mean, it's definitely God's provisions, and it's blessing for you. You're talking about that cookie analogy. I think it's a great analogy. I mean, that was fantastic. A fantastic word that person gave you. I mean, there's a verse that says we have this treasure in jars of clay, right? Mm-hmm. This all surpassing power is not from us, but from God. He calls us jars of clay, right? And jars of clay are what? They're breakable. They have leaks. They crack easy. Sometimes they don't work like they should because they are perishable. And yet, God chooses to use us as long as we're responsive to Him. And that's, to me, it sounds like you've been that. And that's why I think you're probably seeing those blessings come in. Don't get me wrong. You're still going to hit those valleys. You're only 23. You got plenty more to go. Hate to say that, but it is the case. But if you're continually faithful, He's going to bless you in ways that you probably can't even imagine or fathom right at the moment. So, just keep on pressing on. It sounds like you're doing a great job right now, and that's awesome for both of you guys.
I'm trying.
No, that's what, that's all He wants us to do, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, trying is better than not trying. And sometimes, even when we're not trying, God's still going to bless us anyways, because that's how His grace works, which is, I think, the most awesome part about Him. So
yeah, totally agree.
Yeah,
totally agree.
You know what? That's been a crazy year. I mean, we spent like 15 minutes talking about the first 22 years of your life, or 21 years of your life, and then the rest of this craziness has just been this past year. So that's a lot. That's a lot to work through, and it sounds like you guys you're getting through it. Maybe a little scathed, but you're doing okay. You're doing okay.
A little bruised, but it's fine.
Well, you know what? We'll have you on in the future. You can tell us what happened in 2020, the rest of 2020 and 2022, and maybe it'll be some more crazy stuff. I hope not. I really actually am praying for you to just kind of have maybe a little bit more mellow period in your life. That would be good. Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also you get stronger through the storms, right? So
yeah,
a little storm's gonna be bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I do appreciate you calling in today and being part of the program, and it's been a fascinating conversation. It's been fun to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Great. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Tell all your friends to come on. Everyone has a story. Love to hear it. Hey, thanks, Kayla, so much. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Okay.